We need to talk about Islamophobia. Not the buzzword, not the headlines, but what's actually happening behind the scenes and how it threatens one of our most fundamental freedoms, the freedom to speak our own minds. This isn't about hate, it's about the truth. It's about law. It's about the dangerous game our politicians are playing, and they're playing them with my rights and your rights. Back in 2018, the UK government commissioned a review into Sharia law. It was meant to examine whether Sharia law was being applied in Britain in ways that were compatible with British laws. That sounds fair enough. There was a problem. The panel, the panel that was looking at Sharia law was chaired by a Muslim theologian. Half the panel were Muslims. Both named advisors were Muslims, and not a single voice represented the victims of Sharia law, the women and the girls who have suffered under its rulings. And there are millions of women and girls who are suffering right now in the United Kingdom under the rulings of Sharia law. They're all Muslims. Many of them are British, but they are the victims of Sharia. We're not talking about a few isolated concerns. 57 UK-based women's rights organisations, 45 individual activists, and 86 international organisations from countries like Iran, Egypt, Pakistan, Nigeria, and Tunisia were raising the alarm about Sharia. They wanted to talk about forced marriage. They wanted to talk about domestic abuse, child custody, polygamy, the age of consent, honour-based violence, and much, much more. What did the government do? It ignored them. The report concluded, and I'm paraphrasing this here, the report concluded, we don't know how many Sharia courts there are. They shouldn't rule on financial or child matters, but banning them isn't viable. So we'll allow them to regulate themselves. That really sounds like asking the fox to guard the hen house. And in 2019, the Council of Europe actually sanctioned the UK, calling on the Home Office to take action. Think about that. The EU, the Council of Europe, calling on the UK to take action. Guess what? They took no action. Now, 7 years later on, 2025, our politicians, the same politicians, different rosettes, but they're all the same, are pushing for an official legal definition of Islamophobia. On the surface, they say it's about stopping hate against Muslims. And let's be clear, hate is wrong. Hating people is wrong. It's toxic for society, and it's toxic for my soul and for your soul. But there's a catch. The way they want to define Islamophobia will make it illegal to raise legitimate concerns about aspects of Islam. You can't talk about Islamic history. You can't talk about Islam's impact on society. You won't be able to talk about jihad. You won't be able to criticise the Quran. You won't be able to criticise Muhammad. Under the proposed definition, you could be accused of Islamophobia. Incidentally, Islamophobia is a made-up word, and as far as I know, it goes all the way back to the Muslim Brotherhood in the 1970s, 1980s. Under this proposed definition, you could be accused of Islamophobia simply for questioning political Islam. Now, that's Islamism. That's what we used to call it, Islamism. Islam's stated political aims are to dominate and subjugate and subdue the West. We wouldn't be able to talk about the link between Islamic theology and the grooming gangs. We wouldn't be able to talk about Islamic demographics. We wouldn't be allowed to discuss Muhammad's marriage to Aisha when she was 6 years old. We wouldn't be able to raise concerns like we just talked about Sharia law and its compatibility with UK values. And remember, they're saying that Islamophobia is a kind of racism. Islam isn't a race. Remember the ginger jihadis? There's black jihadis, brown jihadis, yellow jihadis, white jihadis, pink jihadis. They come in all sorts of different flavours. And so do Muslims. And so does Islam. Islam is not a race. But the academics who are behind this definition claim that all criticism of Islam is inherently racist. The report says free speech ends when it causes harm to others. Think about that. Free speech ends when it causes harm to others. Who decides what counts as harm? And are some groups more sensitive and harmable than others? Are some groups very offended if you insult the founder of their religion? Well, I think we found that that's certainly the case. And here's the scariest part. The Crown Prosecution Service has already said an Islamophobic incident is any incident perceived to be Islamophobic by the victim or any other person. How's that even going to work? It's not even a blasphemy law. It's even worse than a blasphemy law. It's not just saying you can't criticize Islam. It's saying you can't criticize the way followers of Islam behave as a result of being Muslims. And it also means anyone can label you an Islamophobe. They don't need any evidence, and you're left with no defense. It's purely subjective. The report openly admits it wants to transform social etiquette. You see, the people that are behind this, you see, there's some very sinister people behind it, and then there's some very useful idiots behind it. They clutch at their pearls, they swoon, they faint every time somebody opens their mouth in any critical way about Islam. This idea of changing social etiquette, what it means is it's changing what you're allowed to say, what you're allowed to discuss, and worst of all, what you're allowed to think. Once the definition is law, the state's going to decide what speech is acceptable. And even worse, individual Muslims are going to be able to decide what speech is acceptable. And you'll be trained, yes, trained to comply. It's like little puppies. And again, prejudice against people is wrong. But giving special legal protection to one ideology or one religion, that isn't equality. It's privilege. And it's privilege for one group almost always means less freedom for anybody else. If they're privileged, we're going to lose something. That's why the term Islamophobia as a legal definition must be rejected. I don't accept the idea of Islamophobia anyway. But that's me. Of course, I'm going to find out very soon how much we can stress test, excuse me, this legislation. So what do? How do we respond to this? Well, I'd urge everybody that's watched this video to contact your local MP, even contact your councillors, contact anybody who has political influence and demand that they protect free speech. Nick Timothy made an amazing speech in Parliament where he absolutely nailed this. He said what he thought of Muhammad and Islam and the Quran and that he was a Christian. You see, under this new legislation, unless he has parliamentary privilege, he's probably going to get banged up. So write to your MPs, tell them that the Islamophobia definition or Islamophobia cannot be weaponized to silence legitimate debate and to silence criticism, even if it upsets people, even if it's abusive, even if people don't like what's been said. We must be able to robustly criticize Islam, and particularly its founding documents and its founding so-called prophet. Once we lose free speech, it's gone, and it's very, very difficult to get it back. If you value your freedom, if you care about freedom, if freedom's important to you, it's important to me. If freedom's important to you, do me a favor, share this video, send it to as many people as you've got on your mailing list. Just get it out there, because this is vital. This is the battle of our age. The battle of our age is about freedom and nothing else, whether we keep our freedoms or whether we lose them. And this battle on Islamophobia, this is a battle that needs to be fought now. Share this video, contact your MPs, like and subscribe to the channel. and we'll see you all next time. Stay safe, stay free.